Did you know that people who play video games are more likely to be lucid dreamers than those who don't? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 51. My name's Gareth Bridie. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's so polite.
Good.
And then it goes downhill.
Always.
Yeah. On my virtual right is Mr. Edgar Wolf. How you doing, Edgar?
How are you, sir, on this fine day? I'm good.
I'm very good. I like this kind of politeness. It's good. It's like 1950s England.
We have to experiment, right? To keep things fresh.
We do.
Exactly.
We're on the other side of 50, going towards 100. It'll be a while yet, but we're on our way. What have we been up to this week? What's been going on? Edgar, what have you been doing?
So last week I finally finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I started it in April when it released. Played it for like 17, 18 hours, but didn't finish it, and I finally got around to playing it and really sat down to complete the remainder of the game, which was about the half. And I have to say that it's probably a game of the year for me so far. I'm really surprised by how much I liked it.
Weirdly, Edgar, I've done exactly your same journey. I finished it last week as well, and I got it in April, stopped for a while because of The Last of Us and a few other things. Yeah. And I did it last week, and I think I agree with you as well. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's such a, I mean, when they do, it really does, they do mean the words remake. It feels like a completely different game in a sense, you know. And of course, the way they end it without spoiling anything, they're almost saying we can reshape the next chapter. And it looks great. The fights are brilliant. It's really good fun.
I think the combat is a giant step up from previous games.
Yeah.
So 13 had the same sort of real-time mixed with turn-based combat, but it wasn't demanding. And the same was with Final Fantasy 15, which I think it was better than 13, but it was still like, it didn't really require much input from you, aside from just pressing the attack button. You could cheese most battles by just regular attacks, and if you were fighting something more formidable, a boss, a stronger bounty hunt, or the like, you used like special attacks and magic. But this game, you have to sort of choose the right weapons, the right materia, the right accessories to defeat enemies. You have to take advantage of their weaknesses. It really makes you think. It's a combat system which makes you think always.
Yeah. James, you should get it. You should play it and get it. I think you'll really like it.
I know you keep telling me to.
I know.
I think I will. I just don't know when.
I mean, I got a slight criticism. The only criticism, and there's a little bit, maybe in the middle, that you go over a couple of areas again, but it's not a major criticism.
I definitely have criticism. I would say that even though Final Fantasy is generally known to be fairly linear, aside from, well, not really. Like Final Fantasy 15 wasn't linear, but let's say 10 was fairly linear, 13 was very linear, and this game is very, very linear. Like there's rarely any deviation from a predetermined path. There are a couple of side quests which is an entirely different problem because I'd say side quests in this game are very mundane and forgettable. It's certainly a downside to the game, I'd say.
I did the side quest in the first opportunity it happened, and then when it got to another opportunity to do some side quests, I was like, no, I'll just carry on with the main story because they were so,
Yeah.
like you said, they were not really exciting. They just didn't
Yeah.
feel part of the whole experience. You just kind of wanted the main story, really.
And I didn't like how they're structured because often you would complete a side quest and then you get the next side quest which sends you back to the same area and you need to defeat the same enemies again.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the side quests, but the combat, the writing was very good. I feel like almost every character was brilliantly written, especially Aerith. Cloud was great, but Aerith I didn't expect to like Aerith that much. She was brilliant.
It's very good. Good. We like that a lot. And we really want Chapter 2 next bit as soon as possible. That'd be very exciting.
Yeah.
James, what have you been doing this week?
Oh, I feel like I've got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
It's such an amazing game. Well, I've been watching Storage Wars.
Okay.
I know it. Have you heard of it?
Tell me about it.
Right, well, it sounds more exciting than it is.
All right.
Basically, it follows these people that bid on storage units that have been abandoned.
Yeah, I do remember this, yeah.
Yeah, and they can't touch anything that's in them or go into the storage unit before the bid. So it's completely potluck what they get for the money.
Right.
And it's just crazy to see these people spending thousands of dollars, because it's American, on the complete unknown. They have no idea what they're getting. And sometimes it really doesn't pay off.
So is it thousands of dollars they do? Do they?
Oh, they can do, yeah.
Wow.
I've seen anything from 1,000 to maybe 10,000.
Do they? What are they judging this on though?
Wherever you can see from outside, you can look in, but you can't really see much.
Wow.
So they use a lot of instinct, and it's amazing when you find like collectible toys and like vintage telephones and stuff, because that's where the money is. And one guy found a piece of artwork that was worth 300 grand.
Wow.
And how much did he pay?
I think he paid 3 grand for the unit.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. But then other times, it's just full of trash and dirty clothes and food.
Yeah.
I'm like, who puts a sandwich in a storage unit? People do. Yeah, it's fascinating to see what people leave behind.
So how many of these have you watched?
Well, there's only 17 series. No, not 17, sorry. 12. And I've seen 10 in the past week.
10
So
series?
quite a lot. Yeah.
How many episodes in this series?
They're about 25 minutes each.
You've got...
It's not too bad.
There's about 10 episodes in a series.
Right.
And the newest series is more.
It's
just fascinating.
I can't believe you say to me, I haven't got time to play this game.
Yeah, it's passive viewing. You watch it while you eat, while you're writing reviews.
Yeah.
As we're so often doing.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really interesting.
Egg, have you watched these?
Nope, haven't heard of it.
Are you tempted now?
It sounds fairly intriguing. I might give it a watch, yeah.
Yeah, okay. They did a celebrity one here in the UK, didn't they?
They did try a version of it, yeah.
I think
it went down too well.
No.
I haven't seen it since.
No. Wow. God, if my storage locker... Oh, you wouldn't want to bid on that. £2.50 value in there. I have been watching. Now I might have talked about this before. I've been watching a series that's been on now for about 7 weeks on Now TV, so it's on Sky Atlantic, called Lovecraft County. Have I talked about this before, James? I don't think I have I?
I think you were looking forward to it.
I was looking forward
never
to
talked
it.
about
Yeah.
it.
And it's on sort of episode 7 at the moment. I think there's a couple more episodes to go. And it's based on the world of Lovecraft in a loose manner. So Lovecraft's world of kind of like madness, supernatural, was set in the kind of 1930s and 1940s, and these huge kind of, with Lovecraft, that kind of huge alien monsters under the sea. But the actual man was a bit of a racist, and he wrote some really horrible kind of like texts as well about race and about many issues. And so what they've done is they've taken this kind of world and they've set it with these kind of main characters, and it's a black cast, mainly leads, and they set it in the sort of, I think it's probably 1950s actually, early 1950s, because I think it's just after the Korean War. But what's great about it is every episode feels like almost like a Tales of the Unexpected, or like what's the modern day version of that? I'm trying to think. Every episode is almost like a little short story, but you're linked with these main characters. But you might have one that's a ghost story. You might have one that's kind of a creature attacking them story. You might have one that's about a demon that consumes people by having sex with them. So but it has the whole. Yeah, I knew that would get your attention. But the Holden frame is these main characters, and then trying to find out this journey. I think it's brilliant. It's so good. And I don't know how it's gone down well, because it's kind of a strange one, because it sort of came out and locked down. But it's really, really, really good. Really well put together. And some brilliant action and special effects. So I'd recommend that to you too.
Is that the one that's directed by Jordan Peele?
I think he's an executive producer on it. Yeah, I think he's executive producer on it. Yeah.
I like a lot of his stuff, so...
Yeah, it's really good.
I think the fact it's different stories each time, with an undercurrent link, that sounds quite interesting to me.
Yeah. It's very gory as well, and quite disturbing, yeah. But it's good. I think you definitely give it a watch. Another thing this week... Oh, Edgar, what else were you doing? I've got something down here. I've seen a little bit on the thing. What else have you been doing?
Oh, yeah, just to touch upon that lightly, I started reading the Metro Trilogy books. I've read the first book. I've played the second and third games. And now I got the book, the whole trilogy, about several months ago, and I finally started reading. I want to know the whole written story for once. And it's a hefty book. It's over 800 pages, so
wow,
it's gonna take a while, and it's a big one. It's not like it's not in size like your typical novel. It's more like I'd say a cookbook, or maybe even an encyclopedia.
Okay.
So given that it's 800 pages, over 800 pages, that's a pretty hefty book, but yeah. I like it so far. Even rereading the first book for third time, it's still interesting. I love that world, the post-apocalyptic Moscow. It sounds like something that could actually happen. People take shelter from the nuclear war in the metro. They establish communities, and then war starts, and there's politics, there's murder, there's theft, and it really does sound like something that, given the circumstances, would actually happen.
Well, nothing would surprise me this year.
Oh, definitely no.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a great. I mean, the games are great as well. The whole world and the storytelling is really good. I've been a little bit, which gets us onto the news. You've got your pre-order. What have you pre-ordered, Edgar? Have you pre-ordered any of the new consoles?
Nope.
No, you haven't.
I didn't even try. And judging by the news that I've been seeing post the whole pre-order craze, it was probably a good decision because there are news that Shopto in the UK is sort of postponing certain pre-orders.
Yeah.
They overestimated the stock they're going to have, evidently. Then there's GameStop in Ireland. They are postponing their pre-orders to 2021.
Wow.
Not all of them, but I'd say probably a decent amount of people is affected. And that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Your pre-order is no longer a pre-order.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And I would say that I don't know who's at fault. It's probably both Sony and Microsoft, as well as retailers, but I'd say both companies handled their pre-orders pretty awfully.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? It wasn't. You know, Xbox had a whole week to kind of go, we're not going to do it like that. It's going to be nice and. But actually, Sony's was pretty easier in the end than Xbox, I think.
I would say so, and people were initially giving flack to Sony for how they didn't announce when the pre-orders would start, and no one has any confirmation on this, as far as I know, but I've heard that Sony did what they did, meaning they didn't announce the pre-order times, to avoid scalpers, so that scalpers and their bots wouldn't know when the pre-orders would go live.
I see, right.
And so, yes, Sony didn't handle their pre-orders perfectly, but I tend to believe that they did that to avoid the scalpers, and so as a result, actual customers got their consoles and not robots.
Yeah.
But overall, both companies handled their pre-orders awfully.
I don't remember it being like this before. I think I said this last week. I think the last console, it didn't seem to be that much hassle at all.
I don't think it's ever been like this.
No.
I think some of it is definitely due to the pandemic, and they have problems with manufacturing, with distribution. There's definitely that, but the way they've communicated it, that's the biggest problem, I'd say.
And James, you've got yours on Amazon, haven't you, for your Xbox?
So far, yeah.
And you haven't
I've still got it.
You haven't had an email yet. Some people have, haven't they, from Amazon?
Yeah.
So, no.
Fingers crossed that never happens.
No. And we know someone who's got it on Shop too, haven't we? A friend of ours.
Yeah, it's no surprise that they over predicted the amount of consoles they would have.
Yeah.
Because we're giving away pre-orders way in advance, weren't they?
Yeah.
From what we know.
Yeah.
For a penny.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right. Yeah.
We knew something didn't add up.
No.
But, you know, that's what happens. People overestimate, overpromise. What can you do?
Well, I'm getting mine from the store, as I said last week. From the actual store.
If it's open.
If it's open, exactly. God. Oh, dear. Okay, good. Let's go into some news. Now, when we finish Edgar, this might not interest you. I don't think it will, but that's okay. When we finished the podcast last Thursday, we did the podcast, didn't we, I think? Instead of Wednesday, which we're doing it today. Mm-hmm. Straight away after, they did an announcement that made probably me and James very excited, and maybe a couple other people, because they announced that Football Manager 21, I suppose, is coming to the Xbox Series X this holiday. So November. It's not come to the Xbox One, is it? Have I made this up?
I think it is.
Oh, is it? I thought it was just the Series X.
The tweets from the main diet What do you call it now, the company?
Oh God, I
Sports
forgot.
Interactive.
Oh yeah.
Miles Jacobson. I'm sure he mentioned that it's coming to Xbox One and Series X and S, which astounds me.
Yeah.
That it can work on Xbox One.
Yes. Yeah.
But that also worries me a little bit.
Well, I think they said it's going to be like the touch version on the PC, isn't it? Which is it has less players and less things you can do with the. There's a phone in the background. Then did you hear it?
I think it's Miles.
I think it was. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to do so. It's just less players and less kind of options about training and stuff. But for me, that's not a problem because I sort of I get the assistants to do most of that anyway. A very hands-off approach.
Yeah, I think it won't be quite the full version.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it'll be more than touch.
Yeah.
The touch is a little bit of a basic version.
Yeah.
Let's say.
But this is the first time Football Manager's come to the Xbox since 2007, which is, I think, something people have been wanting for ages.
And I still have that. I have that ready to go.
On the 360?
I might load it up. Yeah, see what I've got in my team.
Now, Edgar, I'm going to ask you this. I've got a feeling you're not a Football Manager fan, are you?
I have played just the 2014 version, so I vaguely know what it's about.
Good.
Yeah.
It's... For us, I think me and James have been talking about it for ages. Every year we've been going, I wish they'd just do it on the console. Because I think it's the idea of playing online against each other or together with each other is quite exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, in the same universe and doing transfers, and that's where the fun is.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Getting a few together.
I would actually say that the managing part is often much more fun than the actual gameplay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Deciding on formations, what players to purchase, that's really fun. So I liked that in the game that I played, the 2014 one.
Yeah, I think it always takes the most time to actually sign the players and do the pre-season. That's the most interesting part.
Yeah.
Because if you get that wrong,
it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It is hours spent on this because it's always been my game on my laptop when I've been on tour or been working. Yeah. I just spent lost hours on trains playing it.
Sorry, you can play anywhere as well.
Oh,
so you can transfer between your Xbox and your PC.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's on Game Pass, from what I read.
Oh, okay.
And the previous ones were.
There's a very
PC.
There was a very funny kind of quote, wasn't there, from the developer, and they said, because Sony fans have been going, why hasn't it come to the PS5 or the PS4? And the developer said Xbox fans have been asking for it more, and Sony haven't, which I don't quite believe. I think they've got a Game Pass deal, like you said.
No, because that's a very weird excuse.
Yeah, I think Sony people have been probably asking for that. I doubt that.
Apparently they approached Sony and Xbox, and Sony basically didn't come back with any kits to work
oh, really?
To work on the game.
But I mean, the fans didn't. That's what they were sort of saying. The fans, but yeah, okay.
Right. Well, actually, Sony weren't interested by the sound of it.
Well, that's going to be a big hit, I think, for them on the console. It's a major deal.
Football fans everywhere on every console.
Yeah,
it's going to be a huge seller.
Let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about the Yakuza game, Yakuza Like a Dragon, which now has been put back. So it's a launch title for the Xbox Series X on the 10th of November. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, it comes out on the PS4, I think on the 17th, is that right, of November? Or maybe when it was meant to come out, maybe 17th, 18th or something, or maybe the 19th. And then, but it's not coming to the PS5 till next year.
Until March.
That's strange, isn't it?
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is, okay? What's going on there?
I have no idea, especially since at least for the most part, Yakuza series has been associated with Sony and PlayStation consoles, and it didn't really come to Xbox until last year, I believe, when some of the Yakuza games started being re-released on the Xbox. And now it's coming out on Xbox and PlayStation 4 for some reason, but not PlayStation 5. That's very odd. I don't know what could be the reason.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of imagined if it was Xbox Series X ready, it's going to be PlayStation 5 ready.
Yeah.
I mean, Xbox are obviously trying to pull in as many games into that launch day as possible, aren't they? And they're doing all sorts of...
And if it was some kind of a timed exclusive deal, it wouldn't come out on PlayStation 4. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense, at least from our perspective. Maybe there's something. Well, there's definitely something behind the scenes that we don't know, but I can't imagine what that could be.
Yeah, but that's fun. Another launch title, another kind of big old game there.
Yeah, Richard's going to be happy.
Richard, yeah, he loves a bit of Yakuza. I really liked it when I played it, but I only got to a certain point. I think I got to about 10 hours in and I stopped it. It was so big.
Yeah, and each game is like that. Like there are what are they called? I forgot, sub-stories or something like that. Yeah. There's a lot of those, and they're fun. They're fun games, and the sub-stories are fun, but each game is like a pretty hefty RPG, I would say.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, those cities are great. I am looking forward to see what a city looks like on a new console as well.
Yeah.
And just another quick thing that I just saw before we came and think. Peter Parker on the PlayStation, on the Spider-Man game on PS4, had a look. And for the PS5 remastered, because they're going to do the not the DLC, whatever, the new Miles Morales one, but you can have the whole Spider game on PS5 as well, can't you? Updated version. They've changed what Peter Parker looks like.
Oh, I didn't see
that. No, it's really
Right.
last minute. So go and have, if you get to have a look, go and look where they've changed it. It's on on Twitter, and he looks a bit more like he looks a bit like the Tom Holland guy. But obviously they can't get Tom Holland's rights. So they've done that. But that other poor actor, with the model dot on, or the other look at that person's a bit more. Yeah. Maybe I made this up. Maybe I've been lied to on Twitter, but I definitely think I saw it.
That's
James
weird.
is confirming, or someone's confirming as we speak.
Indeed.
That's
Oh, wow, it's a big change.
yeah, you can see it there, can't you? Have a look at it.
A lot younger.
Why have they done that? That's so weird. The only thing I can think of, it does look a bit like Tom Holland, doesn't it? A little bit, maybe.
A little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It doesn't. Interesting. Right, let's just do another little bit from a bit of PS5 before we do the Xbox thing. What was interesting, the install sizes come on some of the games, didn't they? And this is going to be the same for Xbox Series X as well. But the PS5, what were the figures here for these ones? Just I'm going to look now.
It was 66 gigs for Demon's Souls and like 90 gigs for Miles Morales plus the remastered first game, I believe. Yeah. And something like that.
And we're looking at kind of like the Call of Duty, we're looking at probably 100 gig. If we're looking at, at the moment, the ones that are running on the Xbox One are kind of huge, aren't they, with Warzone as well?
Yeah.
So Warzone's at 192 gigabytes.
Really?
Already, wow. with Modern Warfare, yeah.
Wow.
The latest update is mad, isn't it?
It's really
That's
mad.
A huge chunk.
So it does lead into both these consoles about storage issues, doesn't it? Again, which we sort of looked upon last week. What's your thoughts, James? What are your thoughts on storage problems?
I mean, I've got a really bad habit of downloading games and never playing them. So this might help me. So I have no choice but to play it before I install another one. I think it could be good for me. But realistically, you are going to get about 5 games.
5 big games, yeah.
Yeah, before you're struggling. And that's not good. Not good at all. But they would have known this when they decided upon the storage. So why not make it at least 2 terabytes? And then there's a bit of room to maneuver.
Yeah.
So
because you're looking at, aren't you, on the Xbox Series X? You're looking at there's 1 terabyte, but you're taking off the how it operates and stuff. So what does that take it down to?
It's about 800 gigabytes
of usable storage. Okay, and like you said, that could be 6 or 7 games, big ones, when they're in all the way.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. Maybe that's okay. Edgar, you got a problem with this?
I agree with James that it should have been at least 2 terabytes for both consoles, but because it's SSD and it's expensive technology, I think they had to settle for just 1 terabyte. Well, for Sony, it's not even 1 terabyte, but in the grand scheme of things, 100 and something gigabytes of storage for Xbox won't matter that much. And we already knew that games are going to be big. Even Final Fantasy VII right now is 100 gigs.
Yeah.
And it's on 2 discs.
Yeah.
So it was expected that games are going to be huge, and 66 gigs for Demon's Souls isn't really that bad, I would say.
Because what was Red Dead 2? That was pretty about 90 to 100 gigs, wasn't it? 92, yeah. So like you said, we are looking towards those size of games as well. Those kind of massive open world games.
Let's hope we never get Flight Simulator. That'd be the full console.
that would come as its own little console you attach to it. Like a little mini console. Wow. Yeah. And as we talked about last week, we talked about storage. We don't know about PS5 yet, do we? What extra storage?
But for PS5, I think Sony learned their lesson with the PS Vita because they no longer have proprietary storage options. They're going to use not quite any external SSD storage, but they're going to, I hope sometime this year, they will announce the parameters that are required, that the console requires in terms of SSD. And then you can just buy any SSD you want. And as long as it complies with those parameters, you can use it on your PS5. Whereas Xbox, I think they're trying to make up the losses they're going to have from selling the consoles. So they're going to have the proprietary Seagate storage, which costs quite a lot.
What did we say it was last week?
I think it was $220 in pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot for 1 terabyte of storage.
Yeah, there must be. I think it is. It just might be taking games off your hard drive and then reloading them when you want to play them.
Yeah,
it might be doing that all the time.
And this is no need for quick resume. You've got no games to switch between.
And wasn't Series S only with 500 gigs of onboard storage?
Yeah.
So you pretty much have to buy the external Seagate storage.
Yeah.
You have no choice. Unless you play just a handful of AAA games, or maybe most of your library is indie games, then you're fine. But if you want to get into AAA gaming, you're going to need that external storage.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's going to be fun. And did you see there was some? So a lot of the journos, we didn't get one, of course, but it's a lot of people have got the Xbox Series X and had a little play around with them, and they've been showing bits of the tech and been showing kind of old games, haven't they, on like Xbox One games, on the tech, and seeing how they run and how they compare. I can never tell any difference between how they look. I really can't. I'm terrible at frame rates. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So there's a lot of stuff seeing something like better Tomb Raider or something, and they were saying, look, this is 30 frames per second, this is 60, running side by side. Does that make a lot of difference to you two?
Not really.
No? Can you see that difference?
I generally notice differences in frame rates, maybe not so much in resolutions, but I think when they're sort of increasing resolutions and frame rates for these older games, it doesn't really make that much of a difference unless like in some very rare occasions. But I think at the end of the day, it's more about the new games and how it will affect those. And the old games, great, they're going to look nicer, they're going to play smoother with higher frame rates, but I'm not that big into graphics in the first place. So if the game looks great, awesome, but I prefer like sort of the story, the music, the visuals are not that important.
Okay. What about you, James?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I mean, they might look better, but it's not going to make much of a difference to me. I mean, a lot of the older games I won't play anyway. So, it's just how the newer games look, like Valhalla, Cyberpunk.
Yes, because
that'll be what makes a difference.
Yeah, and what we didn't see, we saw a lot of the kind of like how quickly the loading times were for those older games, so it was like, this takes 6 seconds rather than a minute or something, but what we haven't seen is anything optimized for Xbox Series X, so we didn't have any of those games.
Forza Horizon?
I didn't see Forza Horizon. We see if that works,
Yeah, because you wait about half an hour.
Or like Avengers.
Wow. Race. Nightmare.
And we didn't see any kind of like what the new games for the actual Xbox Series X will be running. Of course, there isn't, ones that are on their own, but and seeing how quick they are and stuff. We'll wait and see. But people seemed pleased with how it looked. They quite liked the way it felt solid, and it was like someone said, I think I saw that on its side it looks like a log. It looks a bit weird on its side, but it's very quiet.
It looks quite big.
Yeah. But it doesn't.
Which way it is.
And so it's very quiet, but it's not running Cyberpunk or it's not running something that's going to test it yet. So, because my Xbox One at the moment is going mad. It's like putting on a jet engine every time I load up something. Good. Let's move on. We've got just really quickly some Game Pass news coming out. We've got Doom coming out on Thursday, the 1st of October. Doom Eternal. Yeah, that's tomorrow. Any other news there from Game Pass?
Forza Motorsport 7.
Oh.
That's coming on October 8th, which I'm surprised it's not already on there, to be fair. Yeah. Given that it's a Microsoft game.
Yeah.
Iconfell. That's October the 8th. As a turn-based RPG.
Right.
And Brutal Legend. That's October the 8th. The Xbox 360 Classic.
Right.
Starring Jack Black.
Yeah. Good. Good. Right, gentlemen, what have you been playing this week? Let's start with Edgar.
So I started playing something that I usually don't play at all. I think maybe you guys heard about it, Among Us.
Yes.
It's a game that recently surged in popularity. I think a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTubers started playing it. And it's a game on PC and mobile devices, though I'm pretty sure it's going to come to consoles with how big it's getting. I think it's maybe not quite up there with Fall Guys, but it's in a similar ballpark. So Among Us is a party game in which you play in groups of up to 10 people, and you're sort of like these little astronaut guys. You each have your own color, and you're playing like on spaceships and maybe some other facilities like that. And one of you at random is always an imposter. So what the other 9 players do, they must complete the tasks that are given to them. Those are fairly simplistic, like rewire electricity in the ship or refuel the engines and stuff like that. And the imposter has to kill each and every one of you without being detected. If you have an idea who might be the imposter, you call for an emergency meeting and discuss it in a chat. And that's the best part in the game, because
Wow.
you're going to start accusing people, or maybe, oh, I saw this guy do that, or I saw him kill that guy, or hide in the vents, or maybe he's acting suspiciously. And if you're an imposter, you can, as I said, you're completing tasks. But if you're an imposter, you're given a fake list of tasks, and you can pretend like you're doing something and just wait for someone unsuspecting of you to maybe do the same task. You stab them in the back, hide in the vents, and pretend like you were never there. And I'll go back to the chat. That's the best part in the game, because when you start discussing all that with other people, if you're an imposter, you can pretend like, oh, it wasn't me. Or you can falsely accuse someone maybe and create doubt in other people's minds, like maybe you're the imposter and you want to put blame on someone else.
Wow.
I really love that part.
And is a chat text-based chat, or is it on headphones? Is it audio?
It's text-based on mobile phones, I believe, but I'm pretty sure you can do you can talk over the mic on PC.
Wow. That sounds absolutely brilliant.
It's really fun. I think we should just play it together sometime.
Yeah.
All of us, like up to 10
so
people.
Much fun.
Have you played it, James?
Fun.
I've seen it on Twitch a lot.
Right. Okay.
A lot of people set up a Discord channel to talk between themselves, and they go mute when they're doing the jobs, and then once the meeting gets called, they unmute and discuss. And it's so much fun.
Wow.
Between you can see on Twitch who it is sometimes, and
Yeah.
they're such good liars.
That's amazing.
It's great.
And one more thing that I forgot to add. So when you're in this chat, you can decide to vote who is the potential imposter, and whoever gets the most votes is being ejected from this spaceship into outer space, so they're out of the game. So you might eject someone wrongfully.
Yeah.
And
that is genius.
Yeah, it's really fun. I didn't expect to like it that much.
And have you been the imposter?
Yes.
Oh wow.
I love being the imposter. It generally doesn't really go my way, but there was this one game where I just killed everyone and then was like an evil mastermind. It's awesome.
That sounds brilliant. I can't wait. I hope that comes to consoles. It should do. That sounds great.
I'm pretty sure it will. It has to.
It's
a very simple game. It's like an isometric adventure game, I would say. An isometric party game.
Yeah. Brilliant. James, what have you been playing?
Mainly average games, unfortunately. One in particular is Swordbreaker, the game, as its full title.
Right.
It's a visual novel, but with the concept of a choose your own adventure. So you'll be like, well, essentially, you're a hero who's got to infiltrate a castle. How you do that depends on your choices.
Right.
So you might get to the gates and have to climb up or sneak through the main door.
Yeah.
So you make your choices and then it unfolds and you could die or you could make it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy one, this one. So you've got like goblins and necromancers and all that stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's very confusing because it's also got a 3-headed dog, aliens,
wow,
robots, giant spiders, sharks, you name it, it's in there. It's such a weird mess
Right.
Of ideas. It's like they had an idea and thought, well, we've got to fit it in somewhere. So they put it in.
Is it a comedy? Is it comedy? Is it like it's funny? Is it?
Well, if it is, it doesn't hit the mark.
Right.
I didn't laugh once. If I just got really annoyed. Because it's, you know how in the Choose Your Own Adventure, you can die at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, this takes it a bit too far. You could choose to read a book, and the next week you get stabbed.
So you're dying a lot in this.
Yeah, at one point, you take a nap, and as you take a nap, you get killed by a robot with laser beams. It's very bizarre, not very good story-wise. It looks great though.
Okay.
The artwork's fantastic with the characters.
Did you ever read Choose Your Own Adventure novels?
I did.
Yeah, but they were like that.
90s.
They were like that, weren't they? The death. It was like, do you want to go left or right? And you go right. You turn to page 69 and it goes, you're dead.
Sort of, but this was like every choice.
Right.
You were pretty much dead.
Dead or alive. Okay.
It just made no sense.
No.
But it is like, I think it's $4.99.
That's all right.
So you give it a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I completed it I think got all the way to the end in a 5-minute run. After dying loads of times.
Wow. But you once you've died, you know the route through. Is that what it's, yeah.
Pretty much, but there's so many different routes you could take.
Okay, right.
Good. But yeah, they're great.
I have been playing Mafia, the definitive version, which is the remake of the 2003 game. And it looks good. It looks really good. What they've done is taken all the gameplay techniques, I think, from Mafia 3. So we go to Duck, the kind of shooting mechanics there, and they've rebuilt it from the ground up. It looks brilliant. The city looks great. It's set in the 1930s. It's a kind of like a rise of a sort of mafia hoodlum from the beginning, and his rise upwards, and the chaos it causes, and the circumstances of his demise. And it's I'm really having a lot of fun with it. And I think I reviewed Mafia 2, and I've reviewed Mafia 3, I think, back in 2015 something. And it's very much of those games. You know exactly where you are when it starts. You know, this feels great. This feels exactly as I remember it. So yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, visually it looks lovely. There's moments it looks amazing, and then other moments you go, "Oh, I am playing an old game still." You know, you do feel that. You do kind of go, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of playing an old game." That might be something in the kind of gameplay movement or in the shooting. In Mafia 2, because it was just basically a kind of a polish up of the Xbox 360 version, which came out in 2012. It still had that cutscene every time you went into a location, a loading screen. This one doesn't. This one seems a bit more fluid, and you can walk inside places without it having to do a loading screen, which is much better. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it, actually. I've never played the first one, so it's great. It's a surprise, but if you like your Mafia games, give it a go.
I played the original game way back when. It was early 2000s. So I want to ask you, first of all, how about like optional activities? Does it have a lot of sort of side activities or quests? Because the original game, aside from the main story, it had almost nothing to do in it. Once you were done with the main story, you were pretty much done with the game.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think it was the same with Mafia 2 as well. There were options. You could go and steal cars and and deliver those a couple of times, but they weren't really side missions you were that worried about. It wasn't like GTA or any other kind of open thing. Yeah, it's very much
I think they should have definitely improved upon that, because That was probably my main gripe with the first game.
Yeah, I think Mafia 3, if I remember rightly, I think that had a bit more of a. I did feel like there was a lot more extra stuff to do in that one. And I think they did do. So I did remember playing that and getting lost in things a lot. You know, that's what's great when you play an open world, isn't it? That you just get diverted all the time. I really love that
Yeah.
in a good open world. You just sort of like you just end up for hours doing nothing, or just getting just doing some little side quest, or just wandering around. Yeah, it's very much. Yeah, it's very much. I think a linear journey, really. Good, Edgar. Let's go to another one. What else you got?
Yeah, I guess I can talk briefly about Persona 5, which is the Persona series in general is a very odd series for me. I've played Persona 4 for a little bit. I started playing Persona 5. It's a series that I desperately want to love, and I think I would if I gave it enough time, but I always get something else always takes away my attention. So I started playing Persona 5 like a few years ago, played for like 5-6 hours. Then I forgot about it. And now I started from scratch, deleted my save, and I'm going to give it another go.
Good.
It looks like a game that I would love. It's a JRPG. It has a very distinct art style, but maybe this time, I don't know.
Have you played it, James?
No, I haven't.
It's so surprising.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play it.
Is it sort of you're in a school, aren't you? And you're going to lessons and doing lessons. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have sort of fights in the school, like with creatures and.
You're doing exams, you're hanging out with friends, you're going to theaters, you're fishing, you're shopping.
Oh, wow.
You're living the student life. And then of course you're like invading other people's sort of, I don't know how to call them, inner domains.
All right. Okay.
Like you're exploring their psyche and trying to figure out their I don't know the story that well, but you're basically trying to find the source of their evil or dark behaviors, their vices, maybe, and get rid of those, and maybe make them into better people. I'm not sure.
Oh, I should give it a go. A lot of people love it.
Wasn't the 4th on Xbox? Am I mistaken? Was it on the 4?
No, it's on PC. It came out on PC, so. It was exclusively on the Vita for years, and it came out on PC earlier this year.
James, what have you got? What's your other game? What's your other average game?
It's if I have to, it's WWE 2K Battlegrounds.
Now this was your savior.
Is it that bad?
It's your savior game. You thought this was going to be the best wrestling game ever.
Well, I don't think I ever said that. I mean, it was never going to be fantastic.
So it's not?
No. It's 2K. And that's the issue, I think. Because as soon as I did the game up, you've got about 8 characters, and the rest are all locked away with virtual currency. Which you can grind away and get the coins, or you can pay to unlock them quicker. And to me, that's such a bad way to start out a game.
Yeah.
To see that you can't use most of the characters. But even the gameplay isn't that fun. For a wrestling game, the moves are limited. Most of the characters have a similar moveset, so you do the same moves over and over again. It's glitches online. It's just not great.
Story? Is it a good career mode?
The career mode uses comic book scenes to tell the story. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I could write the script better than that, than what's in there. It's so bland. it's like they spent a minute writing it.
Maybe
It's a terrible story.
maybe James, you could do a fan fiction, write an alternative script for it. We'll overlay it on top of the action.
I mean, I could do. I've got better things to do.
You've got Storage Wars to catch up on,
Exactly.
Series 11 or whatever it is.
And Players Unknown Mobile.
All right, so that hasn't worked out then. So what did you give it?
It's average.
Did you
give
give
it a 3.
a 3? Okay. All right.
So it's not that bad.
It could be worse.
Briefly, my last game thing, I've been playing a game that I bought on Friday. I had some money. I had some money, of course.
Game.
I bought a game. And we did.
Usually don't do that.
We don't normally do that. I normally steal them. No. It's The Last Campfire, which is a game. And we normally, on Xbox Hub, get every review. We get a lot of review codes. We get mostly every game. And this one we didn't get a review code for. And not many people... It sort of slipped away a little bit, I think. It didn't really have that much of a buzz, did it? We knew about it. It suddenly just said, Hello, who made No Man's Sky. Hello, is that right? I think it's Hello Studios or something. They announced it in the summer. And then
they made it.
Yeah. And then and then it was out at the end of August. I loved No Man's Sky. I loved that developer. So I thought I'd give it a go and bought the game. It is lovely. It is great game. You play this little kind of character who walks around this kind of like world, and there's these creatures called Falon who are just basically asleep, and you go in and you do these little puzzle rooms, and you collect hope, little shards of hope. You get them awake, and that's the game. It's like a fairy tale mixed with a kind of beautiful storytelling, and just really lovely to play. A lovely kind of like, it'd be great if you've got kids, but also adults are going to love it as well. And it's a wonderful game. I don't know how really to explain it. Really, that's it. It's a mixture of It's like a puzzle adventure that will warm your heart.
Great. I'm looking at the screenshots. It's
really
very
good.
vibrant.
But it's been out a month. I don't know if many people have. It's one of my games. I think it's one of my best games, my indie games.
I remember seeing it at one of the showcases. I don't know which one it was now. But since then, we've heard nothing.
Yeah.
At all. Which is surprising.
Yeah, it just
did look quite good.
It came out with hardly any fanfare. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really, really good. Right, gentlemen, let's talk about what you're looking forward to next week, because we're going to have to go. We're going to have to go. We've talked for too long. No. So next week, James, what have you got? What are you looking forward to? You've pinched mine.
Not quite next week.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, with the early access crowd, with EA Access, it's FIFA 21.
FIFA 21.
And we're going to hammer it.
We are going to hammer it. Me and James have got because we're big FIFA fans, we've got the special Champions Edition, so we get early access 3 days before next week. We've got 10 hours of free play from tomorrow to last 4 days.
You're feeding the EA machine.
We do. We really do feed the EA machine.
You're the problem.
We are the problem. We are. You're right. Every year we think it's going to get better. It never does.
It's like an abusive relationship, isn't it? He's gonna come around. He's gonna be fine. I'll change his mind.
Yeah.
I love him very much.
I know.
Even though he hits me in the face every year.
Yes, it's so true.
It takes all our money.
Takes all our money, our time. Oh.
He hits me in the face, and I pay him for that.
Yeah, this is it. Both of us. That's what we're both looking forward to next week, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Edgar, what are you looking forward to?
I'm not sure if it's gonna come to be, but I pre-ordered a game at the start of the year. It's called Sense, a Cyberpunk Adventure, and it's a 2D cyberpunk horror adventure game, and it has like references to older horror games like Silent Hill. I read about the game. I really liked what they're doing with it, so I backed it on Kickstarter at the start of the year. And they promised, the PC version is already out, but they promised that there would be a PS Vita physical release at the end of September, and that didn't happen. I pre-ordered the physical release, and now I'm hoping that maybe they'll announce something next week for start of October, maybe.
Good luck. Check your bank account. Change your passwords.
Oh, they already took my money
at
the start of the year, so...
Good. That's good. Right. Before we go, last week we had a game called TheXglitch. We had a couple of copies to give away, and we asked people just to leave a comment on YouTube and to say what their favourite, what they would look forward to in. How do you say the name of the company again, James? Bethesda. What would they be looking forward to? And we've got a winner. We've got Parksy 1972, who said Fallout New Vegas 2 would be his game he would want to see. I don't think Fallout New Vegas 2 is ever going to happen, Parksy. I've got this feeling. But who am I to say? But thank you very much. You got a copy of TheXglitch. That should get to you soon. We'll get your details and we'll give that to you later on. Right, gentlemen. Congrats. Right, gentlemen, time. James, where can we find you if we want to speak to you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at OKGKO.
And Edgar, where can we find you?
As always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Edgar Wolf.
Brilliant. And you can find me on GB Briley on Twitch and Twitter. But thank you very much, gentlemen, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You had found all the notes of the show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.